So today we will begin as we do with our mantras, with Bhajan and Kirtan, and then we will have our discussion on chapter 2 of Hindu Liberation Theology. So we begin with the Ganesha mantra. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Adipujam Ganadhyaksham Umaputram Vinayakam Adipujam Ganadhyaksham Umaputram Vinayakam Mangalam Paramam Rupam Shri Ganesham Namamyaham Mangalam Paramam Rupam Shri Ganesham Namamyaham Shantakaram Bhujagashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Jnanagamyam Vande Vishnu Bhavabhayaharanam Sarvalokaikanaatam Karpura Gauram Karunavataram Sansarasaram Bhujagendraharam Sada Vasantam Hridayarvinde Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Vande Ganapati Vighna Vinashana Elambodar Gajanana Vande Ganapati Vighna Vinashana Elambodar Gajanana Vande Ganapati Vighna Vinashana Elambodar Gajanana Riddhi Siddhi ke दाता तुम हो हे शशि शेखर नंदना रिद्धि सिद्धि के दाता तुम हो हे शशि शेखर नंदना वंदे गणपति विघ्न विनाशन हे लंबोदर गजानना जो ध्यावे वांछित फल पावे जो ध्यावे वांछित फल पावे अग्रदेव तुम्हें वंदना वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे। पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए, पर दुखे उपकार करे तोए, मन अभिमान ना आगरे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे। सकल लोक मान सहुरे वंदे, निंदा न करे तेरी रे। सकल लोक मान सहुरे वंदे, निंदा न करे तेरी रे। वांछ कांच मन निश्चल राखे, वांछ कांच मन निश्चल राखे। धन धन जननी तेरी रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे। समदृष्टि ने तृष्णा त्यागी, पर सृजे मार्ग ले। समदृष्टि ने तृष्णा त्यागी, पर सृजे मार्ग ले। जिह्वा थकीय सत्य न बोले, जिह्वा थकीय सत्य न बोले। पर धन न बधाए हाथ ले। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई Last time we discussed the first chapter of Hindu Liberation Theology, and in that chapter we focused on what is the human problem as our tradition understands it. And I spoke of the human problem in that chapter and in our discussion as a problem of dukkha, of suffering. And suffering that expresses itself in many different forms. We talked about the different forms of suffering. Suffering as anxiety about mortality, the prospect of death, and we give so many examples in the Upanishads. The example of Maitri, who asked her husband, how will the wealth that they have accumulated prevent the fear of death. And we talked about suffering as the anxiety that all pleasurable experiences come to an end, the transient nature, the temporary quality of all pleasant experiences. And thirdly, also suffering or dukkha as a condition of self-inadequacy, the sense that I am an incomplete being, the sense that whatever I do, I still seem to find that there is something within that is lacking, that is incomplete, that I can never fill the need for this sense of a full self, an adequate self, a happy self. So it's very important that every religious tradition, let me put it in this way, every religious tradition seeks to address or to resolve some kind of human problem. The human problem is described differently in different religious traditions, and the solution that a particular tradition gives depends on how it defines what that problem is. So it's very important that we have clarity about, if we're going to understand our tradition, how it understands, how it defines the human problem. If you say the human problem is one of sinfulness, then the solution becomes an entirely different solution. You have a very different discourse about, in talking about the resolution of this problem. When you say that, if we say the problem is one of dukkha, then we move to a very different way of talking about what the solution is. So it's very significant that we understand the nature of the problem, then alone the solution that our tradition speaks about becomes meaningful. So for the person who has come to experienced this problem of dukkha, who's come to a position in life through thoughtful reflection that whatever I do, whatever I achieve, as important as these are, we don't put down human achievement, human gain. But one comes to realize that I'm still a want. There is still something that in me that seems to be unresolved. There is still a level of dissatisfaction that no gain seems to fill or to remove. To someone who is struggling with that kind of problem, and we see many in the Upanishads. I gave you the example, and it's there in my text also, of Narada, who was perhaps the greatest scholar of his time. And he goes to his brother, son of Kumara, who's a teacher, and he says, look, I've studied everything, and yet I am unhappy. And we see Maitri, there's a young Nachiketas in the Katha Upanishad. So we have so many examples in our tradition. So for someone who has come to that point in his or her life, the tradition advises that one goes to a teacher. It's a very important section of the Mundaka Upanishad. Go to a teacher, seek out a teacher, and describes also the teacher that you should seek out. The Mundaka Upanishad says that you should go to a teacher who is Srotriya Brahmanishta. These are the expressions that they use in the Upanishad. Srotriya Brahmanishta. The word Srotriya comes and is connected with Sruti. So one who knows the Sruti or the Veda is called a Srotriya. Go to someone who is learned in the Veda, who is a Srotriya. That's one qualification, Srotriya Brahmanishta. But also someone who has resolved this problem that you are facing. Brahmanishta means to be firm, to be established in Brahman, the infinite. So, in fact, when one experiences this problem of dukkha, most of us don't know what is it that we are seeking. We just have this sense that I'm dissatisfied, I'm not happy, I'm feeling incomplete and lack. But I don't know really what I am seeking. What is going to solve this problem? So in fact, it is the Sruti itself, the teacher and the text, that clarifies what is the problem, what is it that you are seeking, and why is it that you're not finding this fullness, this anandam that you are seeking. So the Upanishads, in this particular Mundaka text, which occurs in the first chapter of Mundaka Upanishad, the teacher explains to the student that you are seeking Brahman. You are really seeking the infinite, the fullness, the infinite full one. And therefore this is why no finite gain is going to solve your problem. Only the full one, the infinite one, can eliminate this sense of want, this sense of lack, this sense of incompleteness that you are experiencing. So the teacher explains to the student not only what the problem is, but what he or she is really seeking, in the sense that whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we are conscious of not, the Hindu tradition's position is that we are all seekers. We are all seeking this one, this infinite one. Because in our tradition, the infinite one is synonymous with anandam, or fullness of being, or joy, if you want to translate it in that sense. Now, in the Hindu tradition, there are two kinds of problems in life. They're classified in two ways. One kind of problem is when you are trying to gain something, or to get something, or to achieve something that you don't have. It is not yet in existence. You can think of many examples. So I might want to become a wealthy person. I don't yet have wealth, so it's not something that I have yet gained. So I have to put forth the appropriate action in order to gain or to become a wealthy person. So I'm struggling, in other words, to gain something that I don't already have. And for that, a certain kind of action, appropriate action is necessary. So I must perform action in a particular way, at a particular time, and then I may achieve the goal that I am striving to accomplish. So in Sanskrit, that kind of problem is called a problem of apraptasya praptihi. Apraptasya means that which is not yet gained. The gaining of something that is not yet gained is called apraptasya prapti. Gaining that which is not yet gained, and generally speaking, that requires a certain kind of action or karma to be done. But our tradition also speaks of a different kind of problem, and that is, and here the language, is a little more interesting. And this is the problem of gaining something that you already have. In Sanskrit it is called praptasya prapti. So one is gaining that which you've not yet gained, but also gaining something that you already have. Praptasya prapti, the gaining of the gain. And if gaining something that you don't have requires action, in our tradition, gaining of that which you already have is with knowledge, jnana. Usually when we are speaking about gaining something that you already have, the problem is one of avidya. It's because there is a problem of ignorance. And there are many examples, from ordinary life, where that, we all experience that. Yeah. So common, simple human experiences. Sometimes when we're wearing our glasses and we start looking for them. We forget that we already have the glasses on, and then we go out looking in the room for the glasses until someone says, what are you looking for? And you say, I'm looking for my glasses, but you're already wearing them. So you at that moment of knowledge, with the help of someone else, you discover something that you are already wearing the glasses. So it's you don't gain the glasses, but you gain the knowledge that you are already wearing the glasses, because you never lost them. It was a problem of avidya. We call that a problem of avidya, or the gain of something that is already gained. It doesn't have to be created. You don't have to travel anywhere for it. If you're wearing the glasses, you don't have to go to another room to find it. You don't have to move anywhere. You don't have to make the glasses. You don't have to create the glasses. You are the wearer of the glasses, and because of avidya, you don't realize that. So there is knowledge. In this case, it might be a husband or wife or a child who's the source of that knowledge, and points out, you are wearing the glasses already. Why are you looking everywhere? And you say, yes. So you gain that which is gained. But you experience great anxiety when you were looking. Where did I put it? Did I forget it in my office? Or did I leave it in my car? What happened? Where did I leave my glasses? Today, perhaps more common is a cell phone. You have it in your pocket. You're also looking. You can't find it in your purse. It's already there. So our tradition says, when you experience this problem of dukkha, you should go to a teacher. And the teacher, as I said, is a srotriya, one who knows the sruti. And so the sruti is the source of that knowledge. Sruti is the source of that knowledge for overcoming this deep human problem of dukkha. Because our tradition understands this problem to be a problem of gaining something that is already gained. It understands this problem, as I described in the chapter 2, to be a problem of avidya. So basically, to anticipate what we would learn about later, is that we are all the full being, that full person, that complete being that we want to be. We are already that. We are that adequate being, that full being that we want to become.
but we need to know that. There is a problem, and the problem is a problem of avidya. So the Shruti and the teacher, the Guru and the Shastra, Guru and Shruti become the source of this wisdom. Now, the Hindu tradition has a very special and important understanding of Shruti. And we regard the Shruti, even though, this is a very interesting point, even though we would say and teach that the Shruti, and the Shruti itself says that the Shruti has its origin in Ishvara. Our tradition is a sampradaya. It's a flow of knowledge. And as you've studied Bhagavad Gita, you remember in chapter 4, Imam Vivasvate Proktam, that Sri Krishna says, I taught this, I was the first teacher of this wisdom. And then Vivaswan Manave Proktam, Vivaswan taught it to Manu, and he traces a line of student-teacher called Sampradaya. So Sampradaya is a flow of knowledge from teacher to student. But if you ask, where's the origin of it? Who's the first teacher? Who's the Adi Guru? Then we say it's Ishvara. Sadashiva Samarambham. This teaching begins with Ishvara as the first teacher. So we trace the origin of knowledge to God. This is also the meaning of Saraswati. Knowledge is divine. It has a divine origin. But you will not find that in the great teachers of the Hindu tradition will never make the argument that what the Shruti teaches is true merely because it comes from God. That's not the argument that they will give. That you've got to accept this because it comes from God. They will argue that this knowledge is valid because it's, and this is a word that you've encountered in the chapter, because it's a pramana. So Shruti in the Hindu tradition is a pramana. Prama in Sanskrit means valid knowledge. So valid knowledge is called prama. So prama and aprama. And the source of valid knowledge is called pramana. So the source of prama is pramana. So prama karanam iti pramana. That which gives rise to valid knowledge is called a pramana. And in the Hindu tradition, the Shruti or the Veda is put in this category. Which means it enters into a new place. So it's really interesting to see the way in which how we know is dealt with in great detail in the Hindu tradition. This becomes a very central question. What are the valid ways of knowing? If you make an argument, you have to say, what is the source of this knowledge? What are the valid ways of knowing? So you have, like perception, sense perception, or pratyaksha is valid. Because I am standing here, you see me, you hear me. So that's valid knowledge. So then you have like inference is also valid knowledge. Where there is smoke, there is fire, that's also valid knowledge. But we also, so in the list now we add the Shruti as valid knowledge. So it means that for Shruti to be valid knowledge, it has to satisfy the criteria for valid knowledge. And you can't say something is valid merely because someone else told you. So briefly, what are the criteria of valid knowledge in the Hindu tradition that even the Shruti has to satisfy? One is very well known, not contradicted. It can't be contradicted. If knowledge is contradicted, then it becomes invalid. So this is why, and Dr. Sani, who is not here today, but he sent me a question. Because as you might remember in this chapter, I quoted a passage from Shankara. And Shankara says, in the 7th century, he says, if the Shruti itself tells you fire is cold, you can't believe it. You can't accept it. Because it contradicts everything you know about fire. So you're not obligated. The Shruti should not tell you something. The Shruti should not tell you something that other valid sources of knowledge contradict openly. So there's non-contradictedness. So the Shruti must not be contradicted. And we have to, the tradition is an inquiring tradition. You know, we're not asked to accept that which is irrational. You know, that which is, as I said, stands against what we know about the world from other sources. And you know, there are still people today who believe that the earth is flat. In spite of all of our knowledge, or that the earth is 5,000 years old, in spite of the fact that we have fossils that are, you know, millions of years old. So, you know, you can't hold on to a claim that is contradicted in this way. So this is a very high standard set for the Shruti, that it must not be contradicted. That's the most fundamental criteria for valid knowledge in the Hindu tradition. Non-contradictedness. The second is that every pramana must deal with some unique subject. It must tell us something, inform us of something that other pramanas do not, or else it becomes redundant. You know, so every pramana must have a unique sphere. So even if I have 5 senses, every sense gives me a unique glimpse of the world. With the eyes, you know, I can see colors and forms. With the ear, I can hear sounds. With the skin, I can feel sensations. With my nostrils, I can smell. So similarly, every pramana must have some particular sphere that other pramanas don't cover. They must not contradict each other, but to be a pramana, you must have something that you're dealing with that other pramanas don't deal with. And you have to say why. Not only must it show what is unique to it, but you have to make a case. Why? Why do you need this pramana? What is special about this particular subject that it requires a different pramana? So in the case of Brahman, which is the subject matter of the Veda, and particularly of the Upanishads, that's the subject matter of the Upanishads is Brahman. Why do we need Shruti for Brahman? So you can say, why is it? Why can't we see Brahman? Why not Pratyaksha? You know, if Brahman exists, why can't we see Brahman as we see each other here? Why do we need Shruti? You know, why can't we go to the super collider in CERN? You know, the Brahman particle. Why can't we test for Brahman and know that Brahman is there? Is Brahman the God particle that is being investigated in Switzerland? Why can't we infer it? So why do we need this Shruti? Why can't we know through other means? Well, the argument of the Hindu tradition is that the particular means that you employ for a particular object, there must be some correlation between the object and the method that you use to know it. So for seeing forms, the eyes. The eyes are designed, if I use that word, or if you know, or evolved. They've evolved in a particular way so that, you know, we can, with the play of light and the cells and all of that, and then we have the experience of forms and colors. So there's a relationship between the instrument and the object that you see. But how about if there is a reality, as the Upanishads teach, that has no form, that has no color? It is arupam, without form, without color, without touch. It can't be seen, can't be touched, can't be tasted, can't be smelled. Ashabdam, agandhavat, rasam, the Upanishad gives a long list. Therefore, the instruments that we have available can't work. because the instruments presuppose how we know the world depends also on the kind of instrument that we are using just to experience the world. We know that doesn't have to be, argued. That our senses and our mind give us a particular glimpse on reality, but it doesn't give us a glimpse on the totality of reality. In fact, we know well that most of reality we don't see. Whether you talk of black matter or whatever you might want to call it, the level of matter, our experience of the universe is only limited, unlimited by the kind of instruments that we are using to apprehend the reality. We never knew, about it until we set up the experiments in Switzerland. We never knew about, the quarks and the tiny particles of matter, which we can, in any case, we infer in so many ways. So if there is, the Upanishads, the tradition says, we need a different way of knowing, not because we're trying to make you believe something that is unreasonable, but because we're talking about something that is not available, because of its nature. If something is an object, like my wristwatch, it exists in space, it has a form, it has boundaries, I know where it is, you can see it. So I can use my eyes and I can use my mind and I can objectify this. But the infinite is not like that. Brahman is not like that. If Brahman were like that, it would not be Brahman. It would not be the cause of, it would not be that from which all has come. Yatova, Imani, Bhutani, Jai, that from which all has come. That in which all exists, that to which everything returns. The infinite is not a thing, and therefore can't be known in the same way that a thing can be. It is not nothing, but it is fair to say it is no thing. It's a space between no and thing. It is no thing. This is, we studied Kena Upanishad, you remember. This is what Kena Upanishad was trying to get into when it said, that which the eyes cannot see, but because of which the eyes see. That which the mind cannot know, but because of which the mind knows, means it is not an object of sight, but it is that because of which you see. That requires a different source of knowledge and a different mode of knowing. And this therefore is the case for the Shruti as a Pramana. Now for us, Shruti, while it is true, I can bring an Upanishad that is published and show it to you. But first and foremost, Upanishad doesn't mean book. Upanishad means knowledge. Because we never had books until much later in the history of our tradition, but we had knowledge. So Upanishad first and foremost means knowledge. It's a certain knowledge about the universe, a certain knowledge that includes us, and a knowledge which today our tradition says is not contradicted. It is not contradicted. And basically the role of the teacher is to help you to see it, to understand it, to help you to see why it is true and why it is valid. Now I'll make one more point and then I'll start and take your questions from the reading, okay? Why are these words? Why is this teaching? So there are two, let me say, I'm talking about the criteria for valid knowledge. So I mentioned two so far. One is that it must not be contradicted. Secondly, it has to deal with something that is unique and special, in this case Brahman. And the third is that it must be fruitful. Sometimes how do we test knowledge? Is that it has a result. It produces a result. Now if I told you, if you went outside, you would find a kitchen, and at the kitchen you would find food. So I give you knowledge. Now you go out and you test it. And if you go out there and you find a kitchen and you see that there's good food, you know that what I said was true. So my words are fruitful. It resolves the problem. If you're hungry, I said, go out there and you will find food. It's produces a phala. There's a phala. False knowledge doesn't produce a phala, but valid knowledge is fruitful. So our tradition claims that this knowledge, which I begin to discuss in the third chapter, which we will get to next time we meet, this knowledge is fruitful. It resolves the problem. It solves this human problem of dukkha. It removes the anxiety of mortality. It removes the sense of emptiness, the sense of inadequacy that we experience as human beings. This knowledge is fruitful, produces a result. And how can words solve a problem? Words of the Sruti. How can a teaching solve a problem? Then in order to see how a teaching can solve a problem, we have to understand, as I said before, that the problem is one of avidya. That which we are seeking to know. So let me give you another example. Like, tell me, what is one of your favorite dishes to make? Cake. So you have a special cake that you make. Now suppose I want to make this cake, and I don't know where to start. I ask you to give me the recipe for the cake. So she writes the recipe down for me. And then I have to get the ingredients. As you specify, I must get the ingredients. And then I get the ingredients and I follow the recipe very, very carefully. Mix it all up. Put it in the oven, bake it, and then I have a cake. So there is a process between my desire to make this cake and then Anansi providing me with the recipe and going out to the grocery to buy the ingredients, put it all together, and then to bake this cake. So your words alone don't produce that cake for me. I have to do something more in addition to get this cake. But in this case, that which we are seeking, Brahman, it's here and now. It is not separate from us by space. I don't have to go anywhere else. Nor is it separate from us by time. It is here, it is now, it is available. If I don't know it, it's because of the problem of avidya. It is immediately available. And that's why I use the example of the glasses. The wearer of the glasses is immediately available. You're just not seeing that you are the wearer of the glasses. So in the same way, there is a process of instruction for the removal of ignorance. Avidya negation, the removal of ignorance. It's not the creation of Brahman, it's removal. It's more the removal of ignorance because that which we seek is here and now. And when that's the problem, then words can do. So Dr. Sal also sent me another question. And this is a question that comes from a particular section of this chapter. You know, Shankara, who was a great teacher, a great commentator on the Upanishads, if you ever look at his works and look at his commentary, what a fine intellect he was, he always wrote his commentaries in the form of dialogues. So he would have people arguing against him. Maybe, some of them did argue against him. When he came to write, he represented their voices when he's speaking of a particular verse. So in his commentary on the Brahma Sutra, he has a debater arguing with him, and this is the question of the debater. Is Brahman known or is Brahman unknown? Is Brahman known or is Brahman unknown? So if Shankara says that Brahman is known, so it's a kind of a trap question. A trap question. If he says Brahman is known, then there's a problem. Then the person will come back and say, then why do you need Shruti? Why do you need Shruti? So you can't say that Brahman is known. If he says Brahman is unknown, there are also problems. Because how could the infinite not be known? If it is infinite, it is here and it is now. And also unknown here means, in the context of that question, is completely unknown. I don't even have a notion of it. So you can't seek to know something that is completely, absolutely unknown. So he says that Brahman is improperly known. Or he says, you can put it in the side, he says not unknown. So he doesn't say it is known, nor he says unknown. He says it is not properly known. Which means that it is available, but we don't recognize it. It is available, but we don't recognize it. We take it to be other than what it is. It's very interesting that Shankara, and this is for the question of Shashi, he says, and he's so right, that we do not have to prove that Brahman exists. It's not like proving that God exists. One does not have to prove the existence of Brahman. Why? He puts back the question to the questioner. He says, do you exist? So the one who asks, does Brahman exist? He says, tell me, do you exist? And in order to answer the question, of course, the person has to say, I exist. I am. And then he says, how do you know that you exist? How do you know that you are? Yeah, it's obvious. To even think whether you exist or not, you already exist. So that, in other words, there is an awareness, there is a consciousness, there is an I am. There is an awareness that you don't have to prove, but every proof depends on its existence. Just to think about proof means to be an awareful being, an existent being, that which the mind cannot think of because of which the mind is able to think. So the question for Shankara is not that to prove whether Brahman exists or not, but what it is. What it is. This I am, what it is. What is this consciousness? What is this nature? Is it born? Is it not born? Does it die? Does it not die? Is it in me alone, or is it identical in others? So the question of the Shruti is to say what is the nature of Brahman, not whether Brahman exists or not. Because Brahman's existence is Swayam Prakasha. Swayam Prakasha. It's obvious. You don't have to prove it. But then what it is, what is its nature, is what the teaching is about. This is what the pramana is. This is the purpose of pramana, to say what its nature is, not whether it is not, whether it is or it is not. So this teaching of Shruti as pramana, this is a very important subject of my own study. It was the subject of my PhD dissertation, because I found it very, very, very fascinating when I encountered it first with my teacher in India. I had never heard of Shruti as pramana. This appealed powerfully to my sense of reason, that Shruti must not be contradicted. And powerful examples, as I said in Shankara and others, saying you do not have to accept something that is irrational, something that is contradicted. And therefore, in the next chapter of my book, chapter 3, which we'll discuss next month, I begin to unpack. So Shruti is not to establish whether Brahman is or Brahman is not. It is, what is its nature? This is the subject matter of chapter 3. So I will stop here.